Welcome to the 2022 Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series, our 35th anniversary, presented by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. You're about to learn from some of the top saltwater anglers in the country. Now, the key to getting the most from the seminar series is to listen to the little subtleties, the adjustments that we are doing when the fishing is tough. This is what we like to refer to as the golden nuggets of the seminar series. We're about ready to get underway, so let's get right down to it.
Coming to you from the IGFA in South Florida, it's the 35th Annual Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. Now, here's George Poveromo.
Welcome to the 2022 Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series, presented by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats and filmed at the International Game Fish Association. The session we're going to jump into right now, longtime favorite of mine, one of my most favorite fish to target, Dolphin, otherwise Mahi. Again, very distinguished panel. We'll start off with a gentleman to my far left. That is Captain Alan Wenzel, highly experienced South Florida, Florida Keys, and Bahamas angler, who does it all from offshore trolling, live baiting to bottom fishing. Sitting next to him at a marathon in the Florida Keys, the one, the only Captain Ariel Madero, who is an ace at catching anything down there. And also one of the young guns, as I like to say in the business, the young gun captains moving up with a star. He catches a heck of a lot of fish, Captain Scott Wenzel. So we have a father-son dynamic, though. I wonder how that's going to go, but we're going to start it off. All right, there's so many ways to target dolphin, but let's look at locating them. I mean, you go way, way back to when we were way young, when you could go out there and just see massive schools and you could sit there and load the boat up with them, which is one of the problems we have now. You don't see the numbers as we once did. So now finding dolphin becomes more of a challenge than it ever did. So Alan, I'm going to start off with you. Now, we know the obvious. People know when we see weed lines, that's great, or we watch the birds. These are just dead giveaways. But you're out there and you don't see the weed lines, you don't see the birds, and you're trying to get into dolphin. What are some of the different things that you're looking for that might say they might be coming through this area?
Yeah, well, a lot of times is the time of year, right? So early in the season is different than late in the season. Early in the season, we're still kind of looking for the color change because we're doing bait showers and things, or bait showers is more the latter part of the season. But, you know, that's what we look for is the color change. We're looking for flying fish, you know, anything that's bait in the water.
Okay, well, let me play devil's advocate. If that color change is sitting, if you got a real distinct color change, and just say it's May, and it's 80 feet of water, and you got a well-defined color change, is that too shallow? Or would you work that?
Nowadays, it seems like they're coming in a lot closer than they used to. We're catching them in 80, 160 feet of water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if it's May, I'd probably take a shot, but the early ones tend to be a little bit further offshore.
Gotcha. All right. Now, Scott, you run out of Worldwide Sportsman. You're out there almost every single day, way more than your dad is. What could you do to take him to school? You heard the same questions. If you're not seeing the weeds and the birds, what's going to tell you that this might be a good piece of water to try to catch some mahi?
Well, again, you know, if I'm starting to see a lot of flying fish spray out, again, I don't leave the house without a good pair of binoculars. So I'm in the binoculars 24/7. I kind of am making a decision. Am I going to run out more or am I going to run back in? You know, did I see better stuff inside of me or better stuff offshore of me? That typically is what I'm doing.
All right, and I want to elaborate a little bit on those binoculars because what we run, we have Simrad radar, we have bird mode. We usually set it around that anywhere from 2 to maybe 3 mile limit. We can mark the birds, but where the binoculars come in, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the radar will mark the birds for you. But if there's something laying on the ocean surface, be it a board or a piece of floating debris, that's where the binoculars might be able to scan the ocean surface and maybe pick debris up. Right,
Correct.
Wrong, or indifferent with
Correct.
that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ariel, down your way, and you had one heck of a season. What'd you get, 2 dolphin over 50 pounds last season?
Yes, we did.
Okay, same question to you.
Guys have been offshore the day before. Someone went to the hump, said, hey, how do it look out there? Any birds activity? How the water look? Any flying fish? So tried to get a game plan like that where I'm gonna go. Same thing, bait, flying fish, ideal, blue water. And sometimes it doesn't take much of a weed line. Sometimes it's just a little trickle of weed. You see a little bit of trash on it, and that can make your day.
And I want to come back in, you know, bait is prominent. We talked about showering, flying fish, see them dead on. But also, as you're running off, you have your depth sounder on. If you see any kind of bait in that water column too that may not be coming up the top, it is definitely a big one. And also, when we come back from the commercial break, I want to talk about another feature compatible with Simrad Electronics. You have the Sirius XM fish mapping and a couple of the different items that has been productive for me this season. But I'm going to hold you on that note till we take a commercial break from the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. Mahi's the topic, and we'll be right back in a few minutes.
The Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series is brought to you by Simrad. Go with Simrad and go with confidence. Penn, let the battle begin. Sirius XM Marine, weather, fish mapping, and entertainment for anglers. Mercury Outboards, go boldly. Angle, portable fridge freezers and high-performance coolers. George will be right back. Welcome back to the 35th Annual Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series from the IGFA in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. Let's get right back to George.
We're back to the Mahi or Dolphin version of the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. Coming back on that Sirius XM fish mapping. You know, they have a weed line feature that you could mark weed lines, but in southern Florida where you have the city interfering with it, generally you don't pick those ratings up to your 20, 25 miles out. It's good in areas where you could run farther and get away from it. Down off Key West, you're better off you could find it. But what I've been having success with is they have the plankton fronts. And these appear as lines, and there's a little numeral that tells you the strength of how intense it is or how light it is. And this past season, I've been looking for these plankton concentrations, these zones, these fronts. So when you're running offshore, you have an idea of where those zones are at. And this had happened to me twice on Keys trip, going out on the troll. Things were not that good at all. But I noticed that there was a plankton front. We get out there, you don't see much weeds, but you see some flyers starting to pick up in that one section. So we put 2 baits out just to spot troll in there and started catching mahi. And that was a zone that we stayed and worked that we caught it. If you were just running and had no idea that there was a zone, you might overrun it, look for weeds or what have you. And that happened another time working those plankton front strengths produced. The plankton draws in the bait fish ultimately draws into game fish. So that was also a benefit as well. All right, you're going offshore, Alan. You got a decent zone, and you do a fair amount of trolling as well.
We do target areas, kind of like what you said, if you see the plankton front or the temperature breaks, because that's what we do as well, is we find out information from the dock before we leave, then we go out there. We're putting, I tell you what's really working, these particular, we used to use just like a blue and white Islander type lure or lead head, but these new monochrome lures, they just seem to be on target.
Now, are you putting a value on it, or are you running as
Nope.
is, just dragging?
Just running naked. So we put it, this is only like a 7-8 odd hook. We're using 80-pound leader on it. The cool thing that we've done is, if you look, we take it, we make sure that the hook is kind of right at the edge of the skirt, but then we add a couple of the red beads to get it down, and then the red beads with the hologram look or the monocolor here, it gives a little bit of a blood effect. So the predators like that, right? They see the blood in the water, the flash.
Gotcha.
And that's what we're seeing. So we're seeing 2 quick ones. That's what we do. And then once they're there,
break it out with the school. If
yeah,
there's
we
other
break
one,
out
go
school.
break out the light.
So it's a little bit different than the normal running gun,
Yep.
but we find the area that we go to, and if it doesn't produce in like 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, we're picking them up and going to a different spot.
Ariel, your go-to dolphin tactic. You're running out looking for them. What are you going to do? You're mainly running and gunning, and what are you pitching? Take us through that.
Yeah, I'm mainly run and gun, but when I do put the lines out, find a good weed line or I'm working some birds, I try to keep it as simple as possible. Either 1 or 2 ballyhoo on the outriggers, just naked ballyhoo, nothing on them. And on the flat lines, I normally use just a squiggly,
Little tiny, sure.
Little guy can catch pretty much everything that swims. And it's so weedy. Since the last few years, that if you put too many lines, you have a hard time fighting the weeds,
We're running gunning. Okay, you come to a find and you're pitching. If you catch the dolphin, great, it's a success. Are you pitching a dead bait like a ballyhoo? Are you sending down a live bait? Are you doing a chugger? Give me an idea when you come to a spot on the run and gun, what are you pitching out?
Well, if it's birds that I'm working, you can normally tell, okay, it's going to be a nice fish or schoolies. A lot of times you see the fish. Sometimes they won't bite. Sometimes they're set on flying fish. They don't want to bite. So I work them, I'll give it 10 minutes, 20 minutes maybe, and keep going to the next. If it's a weed line, and I think it's going to be fish on it, I might stay a little longer, maybe 30, 40 minutes before I leave it.
Well, hold that thought. We're going out to commercial break. We're going to come right back. We're on the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. The topic is Dolphin.
The Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series is brought to you by Rapala, your best shot at a world record. Suffix, always use the best line. VMC, your expert in hooks. Williamson Lures for the pelagic playground. Starbright, blending technology with performance since 1973. George will be right back. Welcome back to the 35th Annual Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series from the IGFA in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. Let's get right back to George.
We're back. The Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. The topic is Mahi. I'm working with Captain Ariel Madero, the running gun. So your pitching outfit, you're throwing out the baits. Well, let's get to the brass tacks here. What pound test leader are you using? Are you scaling way back on leader, or give me an idea?
Not so much. On my bigger fish rod, I tried to keep it 60 or 80.
Gotcha on that. All right, and you've spent a lot of time. You've got a lot of good Mahi catches too. You're hearing us talk. What are you doing differently on the run and gun mode, or your most preferred way to go after Mahi?
Well, a lot of it is about, the ride out. I'm kind of taking an inventory, and like Ariel said, you're kind of gathering, seeing if people are catching fish outside or inside of you. But once I find that area, those fish, all the new stuff from the Gulf Stream is going to be coming in from the west. So I usually point my bow there, and depending if it's like a trickle current edge or if it's just patches and birds working around, it might depend on how long I stay there. A lot of times I do think that if it's going to be fishy, you just got to wait for your set to pop up in front of you, and then that's your fish.
Now, I got a little chuckle here, and I did, and your dad caught me chuckling a bit. I'm listening to him and then Ariel and you talking about, the weeds, to be a pain in the neck, so you're fishing just a couple of baits. Now, I've been a big proponent, as you well know, of the rigging the weedless bally, where that hook goes back in, you have the skirt in front. And if I'm in a decent area, I still like trolling, because I still think trolling, the odds are you could even bring in some other species as well. And when I'm in a decent area, I'll go out with a 5-line spread of pulling weedless ballyhoo, and you could drag through the thickest weeds with it. And dolphin being a fish that likes commotion, when you've got that full spread of that going out there, that just looks like a lot of bait fish coming through these weeds. I just think it could draw some of these fish in. Ariel, you got a school dolphin now, and like the old days, you say, put one in rod with hookfish, keep it there, and hold the school around. Sometimes they don't hang around like they used to. When you're in a school dolphin, is there any method to your madness of trying to get the most rods hooked up out of that and work that school over?
Yeah, in my boat, we have a system, either I stay on the back of the boat, the mate stays on the front where the cooler is, or the other way around. So we just bait them up, throw the bait out there, hook them. As soon as they get them under control, I get the people to walk to the front, put the fish in the box, and kind of keep rotating like that. We try to keep the 2 or 3 fish hooked up at the same time in the water, seems to help. But if some schools of fish we call them migrators. They're just on the move. And
how do you counter that? You here comes a quick school fish, you get 1 or 2, and that school moves on. Do you chase after or try to get ahead, or how? Give me some
I'll stay
insight.
up in the tower and stay on the school and pick 1 or 2
What's the best way to pick those off and try to stick with that moving school?
I try to just do 1 or 2 at a time. Look, hopefully the birds are on them, so it makes it easier to find them again.
Yep.
Which is normally the case. And just catch those 2, put them in the boat, get back on the birds, line up on them, pitch a live bait or whatever they're eating at the time, squid, and pick a couple more and do it again.
Now, when you hook a dolphin on the troll, you got a decent bull on, and in a lot of cases of where people get a little nervous, 25, 30, or in Ariel's case, you get one of them 40, 50 pounders in there. When you're trying to work a dolphin, a sizable one, into the gaff, is there any rhyme or reason on what you should be doing versus what you should not be doing to make sure you get that fish?
Well, I've lost my share of dolphin on the gaff. Just ask my other son, Ryan.
That's why we directed the question to you.
But keeping the boat in gear and then having the angler move more to the bow,
Sure.
or at least midship up, and in that way, because you have longer leaders when you're trolling anyhow, right? You have anywhere from 10-foot leaders, and then you just have the angler guide the fish closer to the bow. But if you're moving, keeping the boat in gear, going 2 or 3, 4 or 5 knots, makes it a lot easier for the mate or the captain.
And I've got the gaff here, and I'm going to come back to you right after this commercial break, and we're going to talk about getting that fish in the boat. You're watching the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. The topic, dolphin.
The Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series is brought to you by Columbia Sportswear. Stay cool and protected while fishing. JL Audio, ahead of the curve. ACR, building survival products since 1956. Florida Keys and Key West. Visit flakeys.com. George will be right back. Welcome back to the 35th Annual Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series from the IGFA in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. Let's get right back to George.
You're watching the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. The topic is dolphin. I'm in a discussion with Captain Alan Wenzel, and we were talking about the end games here.
Well, and then you have to have a good gaff, right? You have to have a long gaff, right? Most people, you have a bigger hook is what people had used to use.
Sure.
But we're using very small hooks on the gaffs, but long fiber, carbon fiber gaffs that are 10 feet long, 10 feet long with a nice sharp hook. And then that way the captain or mate can reach way out and then grab it, make sure that it's nice to get a good headshot. But when you're capping a big fish, just get the hook in the fish.
And if it's green and you got that shot to put him in, even if you have to jump on that big fish and keep him in the boat, you do what it takes, right?
And then you put 2 hands on it.
All right, we got about maybe 3 to 4 minutes left. I want to really get down to some of the tricks of scoring dolphin that you've mastered or developed over the course of your careers here. I'm going to start with you, Ariel.
A couple tricks. I mean, dolphin fishing. It's dolphin fishing. You go out there, try to find them. Most of the time, they're hungry. They're gonna eat. But I had before when you find a big fish that won't eat, try to hook the cow. You hook the cow first, and a lot of times the bull will come around and get motivated to eat.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
And sometimes I either have other dolphin in the boat, try to get them open, get a flying fish out of there or something that they're eating on, and sometimes you get into it like that too.
Very good. All right, and then Scott?
When I fish day to day, I fish alone usually. So it's a little easier when I'm schoolie fishing for those, just to kind of load the box up. I like to put my boat in gear, going to the southwest, kind of down sea a little bit. If you have an autopilot, that works really good. And again, like Ariel said, a system, you kind of get everybody used to the system. And as the day goes on, we all get better, working as a team. And then when a big fish does show up, everybody knows what they're going to do.
A well-honed plan. There's several of them. one is when you locate these things, it's a game of subtleties in there too. And also you watch your water surface temperature gauge. A 1/2 degree break here is a big difference. That's telling you there's something a little different here. It could be a different current, it could be an upwelling. Pay attention to those. That's what I do religiously. You've got the fish mapping, the plankton fronts. Try to find where the sections are of life within that depth zone that you would have these fish. But when we spot troll, sometimes before we put those 2 baits out to see if there's anything in the area, we got this Rapala Magnum explode plug. I've been a big proponent of that topwater plug. You cast it, you start chugging it. If there's any dolphin in the area, that chugging brings them around. A decent sized dolphin will eat it. If not, sometimes it brings the school around, break that lighter gear out and have at it with that. And again, I go back to the weedless valley. So many people get frustrated when they see all these scattered weeds, pain in the necklace, leave this thing, and you could be leaving fish, especially if there's bait under the weeds. The weedless valley works. And one more that works well in the summertime is you drift and you send 2 live baits deep, send one down about 100 feet, send another one down about 300 or so feet, just chunk on the top. And if you're within a good zone, try to make those dolphin come to you. And sometimes it's those deep baits that get some of the big fish. And that's what I tend to do based on what the conditions allow it.
And remember, it's not a summer fish anymore, right? I mean, we're
It's-
catching fish. I mean, we went
Seasons
fishing
changed.
in December, and we were catching nice 10-pounders right off the reef.
Well,
So
used to be, remember, traditional. It was always the May deal. It would start up in the Keys,
Yep.
sometimes even April, which is, classic. And you still get those early pushes of fish. But now you start looking, you get that August, September, some of the best dolphin fishing you could find.
yes,
So it all comes down to trying to find the zones, the whole bit, and trying to put a lot of these tricks together, but still a classic fish. And again, one of my favorites. I want to thank Alan Wenzel, Errol Madero, and Scott Wenzel for that session. You're watching the Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series. That was a topic on dolphin. We'll see you for the next session. Well, there you have it. This week's Saltwater Sportsman National Seminar Series presented by Bass Pro Shops and Mako Boats. Now, adhering to Seminar Series tradition, you still have an opportunity for a chance to maybe win one of the many door prizes we have available. Go to nationalseminarseries.com, log on to the door prize banner, and enter your name and contact information. At the conclusion of the seminar series, we will computer generate the winners of those prizes. So get right down to it.